Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to what is the 33rd episode of The Art as Well. The Art as Well is your weekly source of inspiration for not just artists, but also collectors, gallerists, enthusiasts, or indeed anybody connected with the arts. We have a lot of new faces this morning. In fact, I was inundated with emails asking me to give them the link for this morning because of Beatrice. So to all of you, you're very, very welcome. For those watching live or indeed on YouTube later on, please help us grow by subscribing to the channel. You can watch all previous episodes there, and you will also be notified of any new ones coming up once they're uploaded. Now, our guest this morning is visual artist Beatrice O'Connell. Beatrice was born in Dublin in 1973. She studied art and DIT, and in fact has just gone back to study for a master's for 2 years full-time. She is married with 2 young children, and as well as being a superb artist, she's a self-professed insect nerd. She can explain what she means by that. Good morning to you, Beatrice.
Good morning, Alan. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good, good.
Where are you talking to us from?
From my studio in Dublin.
Okay. And is that separate to the house, or is it?
Yeah, it's at the end of the garden.
That's handy enough.
Yeah, not too far of a commute anyway.
No, indeed. And what's your sort of daily routine? Do you have a sort of a specific routine in terms of your art practice?
Well, I suppose I do a lot more now because of the masters. So like Monday and Tuesday are mostly taken up with lectures on the computer. So because of lockdown, it's all Zoom. Yes. And then for the rest of the week, I'm out here in the studio from 9 until 5 really, and the kids are at home obviously too. Yeah. And they're working from home. Is that a bit difficult
juggling the two?
Well, they're pretty self-sufficient that they do their own work, but obviously there's the mother's guilt that you're kind of being pulled into different directions. But I hope, and I like to think that I set a good example of a work ethic for them at least.
Very good. Yeah. And is that sort of 6 days a week, 7 days a week, or?
Yeah, well, I've certainly found myself out in the studio a lot more at the weekends. Normally, I would have spent the weekends with the kids and everything as well. But because of the workload, I feel like I should really get out to the studio a bit more at the weekends. Time is flying by.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
And when did your interest in art arise? Were you a very young age, or what influences did you have? What made you decide to take this route?
Well, I was surrounded by art really all my life because my mother was a painter, but unfortunately she died suddenly when I was 10.
Very young.
And so and it was a tricky time to be a woman back in the 70s and 80s, let alone a woman artist, or a woman artist who was separated and had mental health problems. So it was all stacked against my mum really at the time. So that kind of influence comes through, I think, in my work. And my step family are pretty creative as well, and there are lots of artists and poets and things coming in and out into our house.
But you obviously have very strong memories of your mother. In terms of
I do.
Yeah.
I remember her sitting and painting still lives. Her paintings were kind of Japanese influenced and much more brightly colored than mine, but a lot of intense color. And she liked to use ink and gold and things like that. Actually, Jane would remember her pretty well, I think. Jane, who's on the call today.
Is she? Yeah. Okay. So you ended up doing art, and that was in DIT, I think, was it?
Yeah, in DIT, I went straight out of school into art college, which was a bit of a sharp shock because obviously in secondary school, you're not really taught to think for yourself. And then suddenly you're in this atmosphere where you're autonomous and you take on all these new ideas and you're surrounded by all these like-minded creative people, which is really exciting. But at the same time, when you're 17, 18 years old, you don't really know who you are. So you can become a bit intimidated by that. And there wasn't a huge amount of structure at the time. And I think the art colleges, they have a bit more structure in place now than there was back then. It was a bit chaotic.
And was your experience good in art college? I mean, I've heard so many diverse opinions of people's experience in art college. Was it good for you?
Well, it was mixed. I think I was too young,
really?
too naive, and and immature. So I was distracted by all the other stuff that was going on, and I let myself get distracted by all that stuff. And I wish I had concentrated more and taken more things in. But your insecurities at that age just get in the way. So,
and were you exposed to a sort of a wide variety of different media? And if so, how did you end up doing what you did?
Well, I think it was very cool at the time to do installation. I don't know whether Claire would agree with me, but Claire Halpin. She's a fabulous painter, and she did painting for her end of year show. But I think a lot of the work that came out of DIT at the time was all installation, and this kind of neo-expressionism was really cool as well at the time, with all the kind of Lucian Freud kind of thing. So if you're working with a figure, which I was, it was all Lucian Freud, but I wasn't really drawn to Lucian Freud really because of the misogyny really surrounding his work, and that is very apparent that he saw these women really as pieces of meat, and I wasn't really comfortable with that. And there weren't a huge amount of female role models in contemporary art really at the time, apart from Paula Rego, actually, who I was drawn to.
Okay. And so when you left art college, what did you do straight after that?
Well, straight after art college, luckily enough, I got a student award in a competition, Iantis, and then I got another award in Asia, and that kind of pushed me to think, oh well, actually, I might be kind of good at this. I'm not sure, but I think I could go somewhere. And I ended up going into a studio in Temple Bar, and it was before Temple Bar had been rejuvenated. So the stairs were falling apart and everything. Yeah. And while we were there, they refurbished the building and built new buildings around it. So it was like the time of Temple Bar being rejuvenated, and it was really exciting.
And you were with a couple of other artists, yeah?
Yeah, right. Quite a few other artists. So I've been in quite a few different studios all around Dublin, and it's just a lovely network to have.
Yeah. That explains all the emails I was getting.
Yeah.
You do seem to have quite a network of friends.
Yeah, and obviously I shared a studio with Claire at one point. I shared a studio with Cora O'Brien, and it's just invaluable to have that network of people within a studio and be able to have the chats and a bit of crack as well.
Yeah. And so when you were 27, you went off to Australia. Tell us a little bit about that.
I did. It was just after my first big exhibition in the Kevin Kavanagh Gallery in 2000. And I think I felt a bit burnt out. And so I went to Australia, and we travelled around from Melbourne up to Cairns in the north in Queensland, and went on the Great Ocean Road. And so while I was there, I did quite a lot of sketching, and we went camping, and just even the roadkill in Australia is picturesque. Like, swear to God, like Australia is such an amazing country.
Yes,
I just couldn't get over how exotic it was, and the colourful birds, and and the wildlife and the wild open spaces. And I just really felt a connection to the place.
It is wonderful. And your friends who are with us today, live from Australia, did you meet them there at that point, or was it another time?
No, I didn't meet them until 10 years later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, staying where you are then at 27.
Yeah.
At what stage did you start working for the Mafia?
That was in Melbourne. I had a part-time job in a restaurant there, and just at one stage I was preparing the cutlery, and one of the lads leaned over and opened one of the drawers, and I spied a revolver or some form of weapon underneath the counter.
Yes.
So I
that's probably normal. I mean, that doesn't mean they're Mafia. No. And did you stay there long? Or did you do a runner?
No, I wasn't there for very long. So yeah, we were just about to travel up the coast. So probably just as well to hand in my notice at that point, after dropping cocktails on a poor woman with her white trousers.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Waitressing
is not my strong point.
Is it not?
No.
All right. So anyway, you left the restaurant and you toured up the country again, did you? From Melbourne.
Yeah.
And so how long were you there altogether?
It was just a year back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you weren't married at this stage, were you?
No.
Okay.
No,
so
I
you
didn't
came
meet
back?
my husband until I was 30. So. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you came back and resumed your practice then?
Yeah.
Back in Dublin, yeah?
Yeah, I did, yeah. And I think at the time I was in a lovely studio called Phoenix down by the docks. And that's moved up to Cathedral Street. It's called La Cathédrale now. And there's loads of lovely artists there.
Then you got married, you had your two kids.
Yeah.
And all of that, and just kept on with your practice. So
yeah.
Have you stuck with painting, or have you ventured into other media?
Painting and drawing, yeah. Just painting and drawing. Amazing. But I really want to experiment with loads of different media now, I think.
Okay, all right. Okay, look, at this point, would you mind giving us a little tour of your studio?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Will you be able to do that now with the amount of juice you have?
I'll have to plug you out again.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So there's Bob, the lovely Lego stand that was made for me this morning.
Very creative,
and some source material there. These are monoprints. Well, sorry, I should have said I do monoprints as well. And I have a lovely printing press just here. Here's all my notebooks. Sketches and a cyanotype as well.
Okay, Beatrice, I've lost your vision. Oh, you're back.
Yeah, my phone is running out of battery, so I probably can't do this for long.
No.
There's a cyanotype. I don't know if anybody's tried cyanotype before, but it's on photosensitive paper.
Yeah, Robert Kelly gave us a good rundown about how that's done and so on, the different forms.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna move over here. That's just a couple of books I thought I'd bring in. My really messy palette, which is desperate. These are my favorite paints.
What make are they?
Okay, Gambling on Michael Harding.
Okay, yeah.
And some Old Holland, and then Winsor and Newton as well.
All right, yeah.
Okay, I'll show you this. Well, this is what I'm doing at the moment, these sketches.
So while you're doing that, tell us about your insect fascination.
I've always been fascinated with insects and looked at them since I was really small. I suppose I identified with their vulnerability, and that they were all alone in the world.
Yes.
And this is another Australian painting.
Mm-hmm.
These are some experimental monoprints. Sorry, they're kind of moving around because the heater is underneath them.
Ah, yes, yeah.
This painting here was in the Beat Painting Prize in the UK last year.
I think, is that the one we have on the presentation itself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one is called Shrill Carder bee. And Shrill Carder bee is a really rare bee, and it's got conservation status.
Yes.
Special conservation status.
Do
this
they occur,
one isn't so
in
rare,
Ireland?
and people would see it around the place.
Yeah.
A good
do those
bit.
Bees occur in Ireland, do they?
Yeah.
Hmm.
In the Burren and in Wexford.
All right. Okay. Yes.
This is a pretty common bumblebee.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. I love that one.
These are some experimental kind of assemblages. And this is all my stuff that I've collected.
Yes. Not a boomerang inside.
Yeah, I kind of want to go into doing a bit more assemblage and sculpture, I think.
Okay, yeah.
See the little figure here. He's made of eggshells.
Oh, yes.
If I turn the light on, there's something nice about the shadows. Don't know whether you can see that.
Can, yeah.
This fire. My sister took a photograph of a controlled burn in Burkina Faso. And I was fascinated with the fact that the Aboriginal people in Australia used to use controlled burning as a way of managing the land sustainably.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether you can see my shelves. I've all sorts of little knickknacks and things.
Yes, I see that, yeah.
And see that this fellow.
Seahorse.
Yeah, I put him into some resin just to preserve him. Bit of coral that I picked off the beach. That's a little sculptural piece that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Put a little hat on her. Bukes. Another Australian piece there. My trolley and some pieces that I'm working on at the moment. I'm going to plug you in again.
Yeah, do. No, we leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fine. That gives us a flavor of where you work.
Now, back again.
Very good. Okay, so Beatrice, what shall we go in and look at some of the paintings now?
Yeah.
And then we can do a Q&A after that, and I'm sure
okay.
you know the sort of subjects will come up when we look at paintings. Just hang on 2 secs now while I screen share. Okay, can you see all of that?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, you just tell me when to move on, and we'll start with the first one here.
Okay. Okay, so that's from my solo show in the Kevin Kavanagh Gallery in the year 2000. And I think Aidan Dunn said something about it in the Irish Times, which was nice. He said that it was something about along the lines of people caught up in their own individual personal dramas, and little did he know, it was a dramatic. It was maybe a bit too melodramatic, but anyway, it was a melodramatic time.
Yes, yes.
You can move on to the next one if you want.
Mm-hmm.
This one is from a show in the Hunt Museum called Undercurrents. So I had a lot of seascapes and things at the time.
Yes.
Kind of turbulent water and things like that. So this was just after the death of my stepmother. So I suppose there were a lot of kind of different emotions and everything going on underneath the surface.
Yeah.
You can go on to the next one as well if you like. This is from the Talbot Gallery show, and in 2006. I always know where I am by the way the road looks, and it's a quote from my own private Idaho, and I liked that idea that you would identify with a place by the way the road looks.
Yes.
Just identifying with your place.
Mm-hmm.
And these are from that show as well, and in the Talbot Gallery. And Elaine Granger is fantastic. That's that painting that I showed you over in the corner.
Yeah.
It doesn't come out so well in the slide, actually. There's much more purples and pinks and richer colors in it than the slide comes out, I think. Okay, so this is from Duende in 2009, and mostly it was about motherhood and a lot of portraits and paintings of my daughter. And I think she thought at the time that it was perfectly normal just to see paintings of herself everywhere she went when she went into a gallery. That's what she thought that galleries were for, that you just went in and saw paintings of herself.
Yeah.
So this is another one from that show.
I think this one is very much on the lines that you were talking about.
Yes.
You know, in terms of other children seeing themselves as being them.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a lovely one.
And this is from that show as well. And it's a girl called Alessandra who was working as an intern in the studio at the time. There were two beautiful Italian girls, and they used to fight with each other all the time in very melodic Italian. It just sounded so beautiful. And so she agreed to sit for me.
Okay.
And these are from my next exhibition called The Flood and Other Stories. And I ended up bringing them over to Australia as well. They're from Madagascar. We went to Madagascar on our honeymoon, and I was fascinated with the stories that they had about the landscape, and that they believed that the crocodiles were actually their ancestors, that their ancestors had been turned into crocodiles because they weren't welcoming to a stranger who'd come into their village.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a life drawing from the RHA, and I got it into the Royal Ulster Academy. What date was that? 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And the RHA has been fantastic. I used to go to the self-directed life drawing sessions, and I think there's quite a few other people on this call as well who've gone there. It's a really lovely group of people, very supportive of each other.
Very good.
And the life drawing sessions were
Was this a weekly sort of event for you?
Pardon?
Was this a sort of a weekly event?
Yeah.
Life drawing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many people would you've had at a session?
I don't know, lads, how many people were there? Maybe about 30.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, Colin Martin runs the RHA school in there, and he does a great job. They do loads of artist workshops as well, and master classes with different artists. So so quite a few of those artists that I did master classes with would have had an influence on my work, like Gwen Hardy telling me to get the oil film going.
Very good.
Okay, so these were Owen McLaughlin actually, and Claire kindly asked me to be in an exhibition in the Olivier Cornet Gallery back for the centenary exhibition that they had there called Republic in 2016. And it was examining the Constitution and, you know, what we thought about the Constitution 100 years later. And the thing that I was drawn to was what was said about cherishing the children equally of the state, and I didn't feel like we had cherished all the children equally. And this is about the Magdalen laundries and the mother and baby homes, which is still ongoing, obviously. So this painting is about that. I think it has a sense of foreboding about it.
It certainly does. It certainly does.
And this is from that series as well. The sense of the child being learning by rote and being taught by these fierce kind of nuns.
Yes. And the sort of color that you use, both on the previous one and this one, was that something that you actually thought quite a lot about, or did it just come to you instinctively?
Yeah, it's a conscious choice to use the kind of, it's kind of a sickly green, I suppose.
Yes. Okay.
This is a turning point for me. And actually, I think it was Bernadette Kiley who said to me, just go for it and go on a residency. And I went on a residency to the Tyrone Guthrie Centre.
Yes.
And this is back in 2016, I think, as well, that I went to the Tyrone Guthrie Centre, and my work took a new turn. And this was after doing a couple of workshops in the RHA as well, that that I was much more confident with the oils and really enjoying the process.
Yeah.
These are little Australian birds.
Yeah, I was wondering what they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you come across any rainbow parrots?
Oh yes, yeah.
Stunning.
Rainbow lorikeets.
Yes.
Very noisy, beautiful but noisy.
I was at a golf course in Healesville, just near enough to Melbourne, and they were teeing off in this particular golf course. Of course, everything was silent, but the minute this person teed off, an entire flock of those rainbow parrots took off from a tree, and the noise was just incredible, and the color was something you'd never experienced other than there, you know?
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Now tell us about bees, Beatrice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, bee is my name and bee is my game, I suppose. That because my name is Bee, and I just thought it would be funny to start doing a series of bees, but actually they kind of turned into a serious project, and I thought that I wouldn't have as much material out of it as I did, and the more you look at them, the more material there is there, and the more bees there are to look at. There's so many different species out there.
So did you get involved in a lot of the sort of subspecies and whatever else in terms of your knowledge?
Yeah, my sister is a botanist, and so she would have known a couple of entomologists as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
good.
So this is a wasp, and I just love that a friend of mine has this in her house, and it kind of reminds her of difficult situations or difficult people that she has to deal with, and it gives her a bit of a giggle, I think.
And is that done in oil on canvas? Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that I was thinking about Charlie Brady actually after I did that painting, and I didn't realize that he had done a painting of a piece of bread as well. And because most of my paintings are pretty small, they have that kind of reference, I suppose, to Charlie Brady, whether I like it or not. But like this one, when I painted this, I thought, oh yeah, a mouldy piece of bread, I'll put a wasp on it. But then I thought it actually looks really nice as it is. So I had the two pieces, this one and the wasp, hanging beside each other in my exhibition in the Ranelagh Arts Centre.
And tell me about the Ranelagh Arts Centre. Is that closed down? Or is it?
It has, unfortunately.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It's an awful shame.
Do you think it might re-emerge?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Caroline about that, I think.
Yes, okay. All right.
Yeah, so you can see them all together there. I suppose they make a series.
And are they all much the same size, Beatrice, are they? Yeah,
they're all the same size as the paintings behind me.
Okay, all right.
So they're around 18 by 24 or 20 by 24 centimeters.
Yes.
Yeah. So this one as well. You can see that painting behind me. It was from a photograph of birds that had died, fallen out of the sky. It's called "And Then They Fell from the Sky," from a tear gas attack in Gaza.
Oh, right, yeah. And was that part of a series as well?
No, that was done after the previous series.
Okay.
That was in the Tyrone Guthrie Centre as well.
Yes, yes.
So a couple of different residencies have been very productive.
I love this. Super, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, you've seen this piece before, haven't you? It's over in the corner.
Yeah, that's right. That was down in your studio there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And was that done in Australia?
No, that wasn't done in Australia. It was painted afterwards, but it's actually, I was thinking about Australia, but it's from a photograph that my sister took in Burkina Faso. She was over there for actually as in trying to find out what insect was pollinating a particular crop.
And do you work using photo references, or is it in the head, or is it how do you work?
Well, I do use photo references, and I sometimes put them on the iPad, but I think I'm beginning to move away from that. I don't want to get too reliant on photo references.
Yes.
And then from my previous landscape work, I think I would have used a reference, but then kind of use my imagination for the rest, because I need to be familiar with the place before I can paint it, because it's like a feeling of being in the place.
Yes, I know.
So this was from Kilreelig, this particular crab. So I called it a scuttled crab because you know the way you talk about boats being scuttled.
Yes.
Just kind of imagine that the poor old crab has been scuttled.
He's seen better days for sure.
Yeah, poor fella's in bits. So this is a recent painting as well, because most of the bees actually would be done from life, apart from the shrill carder bee, because I've never seen one. But I do have. I can show you the little bees that are on the table.
Okay. And this is the last one.
Yeah, this is from the Beep Painting Prize.
And what just explain it to me?
I was thinking about how we extract jewels from the earth at great cost, I suppose. And I had one painting in the Renal Art Centre called Coveted Gem, and just kind of like a reference to human greed and resources being depleted.
Okay. Very good. Okay, that's great. Thanks very much for that, Beatrice.
Okay.
Super. So tell me about your influences. What sort of people have really influenced you in your career over the years? You know, have they been lecturers or a particular artist or group of artists?
Well, I think Bernadette Kiley has been a great influence.
Yes.
And I actually wrote out a list of people because I wasn't sure whether I was going to remember them all.
And Bernadette is here, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alison Pilkington as well, her painting as well.
Yes.
She's a fabulous painter. Cian McLaughlin, Diana Copperwhite, Sorka, O'Farrell, Liz Rackard, other artists who use multimedia, Aideen Barry, Rachel Fallon, the repeal movement, and Aboriginal artists, Sebastian Toast, of course, over in Australia.
Yeah.
And
what sort of art does she produce? I haven't seen any of hers, obviously, yet.
Seabass is a painter, and she well, you'll have to interview her now yourself. But she does a lot of bees and moths and things as well.
Oh, does she?
But on a larger scale and much more colourful than mine. Okay.
What advice would you give to people, before we get into the Q&A with everyone here, what advice would you give to an artist starting out now? Because I'm sure it's kind of different today than it was when you started.
Yeah. I don't know whether I'm still feeling my way, or like I don't know that I'm qualified to give anybody advice.
Let me put it another way. If one of your children expressed an interest in art, what would your advice be?
Don't do it.
Run. Yeah. I mean, it is a very tough career and a very solitary one in many respects.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know whether you were watching the Grayson Perry show on telly last night, were you?
No. Was this the club?
Grayson Perry's art club.
Oh, I did. Sorry. Yes, I saw a bit of it.
Yeah, it's really well worth having a look at. And it just goes to show how important art has become to people, particularly in lockdown.
Yes.
That it's a great life raft or solace for people, and also like pretty essential for mental health, and to place yourself in the world. So yeah, I was particularly struck by this woman who was she's in a wheelchair, and she can only communicate by with her eyes. So she was able to do paintings with her eyes on the computer. Oh, just incredible.
Yeah, I missed that. I only saw about 10 minutes of it last night. But that's very interesting. And I think, just talking about lockdown and the arts and all that kind of thing, I suspect that visual artists have come out of it better than many other artists.
Yeah.
Who can't ply their trade in the same way as we can.
Yeah, that's true.
Actors in particular, and all of that. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Okay, listen, we'll open it up to the floor now. So if anyone has any questions.
Beatrice. Hi, Jenny. How are you?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I was curious about, as a painter, are you influenced by other media, like for example, sculpture or something like that? And who would who would you find inspirational in media outside of painting?
Oh, well, maybe not directly, but I have watched a good bit of, obviously a lot of film, and I do a lot of reading as well. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by that question there. It was on Channel 4. Grace and Perry. Yeah, no, and sculptors, lots of sculptors, like maybe Dorothy Cross would come to mind immediately. Anna Mendieta, drama, theatre, Anne Tyler's books, Margaret Atwood, poetry, Andy Goldsworthy, Paula Rego, and I just ordered a lovely book about contemporary drawing, so I'm looking forward to reading that.
Yeah, Jenny, I think also wrote here, how about textile artists?
Textile artists. To be honest with you, I don't really know very many.
Okay, yeah.
So that's something that you're going to have to teach me about.
The bear has a question from us.
The bear has a question.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead? Just unmute yourself there.
We're unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are, yeah.
There you are.
Hi, Beatrice.
Hi. How are
Hey, I
you doing,
was just
Filthy?
wondering. Right, I was just wondering. Our fridge is full of a lot of dead animals, dead birds, and my wife, she collects a lot of bees and moths and things like that.
Yeah.
We have what we think is a gecko, a lizard that wanders off with the dead bees in the middle of the night. How do you deal with that problem?
Well, I'm afraid, Filthy, we don't have any geckos in Ireland, so there's no problems with my bees being taken off in the middle of the night. It would be more to do with the spiders, but the spiders are not as fierce, obviously. We have very boring spiders, really, in Ireland compared to your ones. But I do keep my dead creatures in the freezer, just like you as well.
Oh, you do?
I have a dead bird in the freezer too.
Yeah, I'm often worried that if something happens to us, people will search through the house and think we're some sort of bird serial killers. But I'm glad we're not the only one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
They'd be lifting the floorboards for the bodies.
You just have to accept your eccentricities, really.
I don't really have many of those.
Thank you, Bear. That was very good.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Can I ask a question, Alan? Catherine here.
You, Catherine, yeah.
Hi. Hi, Beatrice. Really enjoying this. Thanks.
Hi.
What I wanted to ask, the cyanotype caught my eye because I use cyanotype as well in my work. And I'm just wondering, and the fern looks like a photogram, but the moth in it, is that a photogram or is it a stencil that you used? Or
it's a stencil.
Stencil. So you drew it out and cut it out and so forth. Yeah. I was just wondering, was it an actual moth? But I thought, probably not.
No, because obviously I wouldn't have been able to get it to look as transparent.
Yeah. No, it looked great. And just one other thing, have you ever been on the Facebook page Insects and Vertebrates of Ireland?
Yes, I follow that. Okay. Yeah,
quite a good resource.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for this. It's great. Enjoying it.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Aoife says, I have a clear wing moth you could try using.
Oh, that's my sister.
Oh, is that your sister? Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks, Aoife.
Bring it over to the fridge. Catherine, you have your mic off or on. Do you want to ask a question? Catherine Santoro?
No.
No? Okay, fair enough. All right. Anybody else like to ask a question?
Hi, Alan. Claire Halpin here.
Hi, Claire. How are you doing?
Hi, Beatrice. How are you? Thanks for the maxi mensch there. I was out making tea and I went, Jesus, my name's been mentioned. Great to see you. And actually, an interesting thing, because actually there during the week before, I knew you were doing the art as well this week. My mother, I was saying to me, how many out of your class in college? are still painted. And I was like, geez, I said, there's few enough of us left. And I was going, and I went, oh, and Beatrice as well. And I think it's come across in your presentation this morning, which is fantastic. It's a word I've kind of come to use more, tenacious. It's that thing of sticking with it. Yeah. And I think that is just that, even though you're kind of going, okay, right, and it's that thing as well, where sometimes you maybe go down like a cul-de-sac and you go, oh, right, but you have kept coming back to and sticking with painting, and it's fantastic to see. And I think even particularly with the bee paintings, there's how to say, like a confidence, but more of just a quiet confidence, not cocky, but just the material, and it's just fantastic to see. And one of the things which it is obviously to see them in true life, as opposed to seeing them as they are this morning, which is all we can do at the moment. But there is a question here. It was around, I didn't know you were back doing the masters. What was your, I suppose, how did you come to going back to doing the masters, and how's that going? Was actually...
Oh yeah, thanks very much, Claire, because because you always knew where you were going, which was fantastic in college. Just it came across that you really knew what you were at, and I really didn't have a clue what I was doing. But I think the reason why I went back to do the masters is so that I could be more articulate about my work, and also to explore new avenues and get myself out from under my rock and shake myself up a bit and really challenge myself to try and make new work and think about what direction it was taking, and did I want to maybe expand my practice a bit more and start making some little objects and things as well.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, no, it's interesting, and I know I see somebody put up something in the question there. Would you talk just a little bit more about the, the sculptural pieces? Are they casts or?
No.
Sorry, I don't mean to drag you away.
Which ones now?
Sorry, it was one. It seemed to me I couldn't quite see what it was. It looked like, were there bones? Or are they in?
Oh, in sand.
Sorry, sand. Yeah, that's what I was wondering what they were. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, no, they're made out of self-drying clay, and I just stuck them down into the sand, and they're loosely based on kind of sea creature or like seed pods and things that I found in Australia, and made them a bit bigger looking, and they look to me like they're kind of growing out of the sand, and I just thought that maybe that whole format of having something sitting in sand could be a direction that I could go in.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, lovely to hear you, and great to see you as well.
Yeah, you too, Mrs. Keep up the painting.
Yeah, absolutely. Stick together. That's why I was getting worried when I saw. I was like, hang on, she's going away from painting.
Yeah, no, we have to stick to that too. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks.
Very good. Thanks for that, Claire. Darlon says, thank you, Alan and Beatrice. My first art as well. So enjoyed it. Beatrice, your work is really beautiful. Have to go, basically.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Bye-bye. Thanks for that, Dara. I think that's all on the written ones. Anybody else got a question they'd like to? Yes.
Hi, Owen.
Yeah, hi, Owen. Hi.
Hey, but,
see you.
I love these paintings. I wanted to ask you to talk a bit more about the bee paintings, because I really like them. And it's sort of like, I reckon you're doing them because of biodiversity and how important they are in the world. I was just wondering, do you think it's how much of an effect would you have on people? Do you think art could be a kind of political tool, or is it just you like painting the bees and that?
Well, you'd hope that it could be, but I suppose galleries themselves can be a bit of an exclusive kind of a place, can't they? So it would be kind of nice to be able to. Well, maybe it's just an Irish thing that the people are a bit intimidated about going into galleries when like they're kind of okay about going into maybe the National Gallery, but maybe not as comfortable with going into private galleries because they're not quite sure like what's going on in them. So I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but I think maybe some of the better known artists might be able to make a political statement in whatever way they can. I think so. I suppose, I'm kind of agreeing with you that art can be a force for change. Yeah.
Okay, that's exactly the
Yeah.
question I was
Well, like, I
asking.
mean, for example, I think even just taking it out of the gallery thing, the artist repeal movement and the banners that they made for that was like a force for change. I thought that was amazing and really inspiring.
There you go. Yeah, thank you.
Very good. Thanks for that, Owen.
Yeah.
Anybody else? No. Okay, I'm going to ask a question I ask everybody towards the end, and that is, if you had all the money in the world, or indeed you could just borrow and not pay it back or whatever, and you could have gracing your lovely walls at home, any work of art at all from anywhere, from any period of time, what would you choose? What would something that you'd really love to have on your walls?
Ooh, that's a tall order now. If I could have whatever I wanted, I think I'd probably like to have that The Goldfinch by Carel Fabricius. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing that right. Or I wouldn't mind maybe a small Rembrandt. That would do quite nicely. Or I'd definitely take a Leonardo da Vinci drawing off the wall. That would be nice.
Yeah.
If I could.
Did you see any of his drawings in the National Gallery a while back?
Yeah, amazing, beautiful.
It's extraordinary to think they last so well. You know, drawing is you know, something that kind of.
And then the Queen's stamp across one of them. You see that?
No, I didn't. Don't recall
I think
that.
it's funny.
Yeah. Goldfinch, great choice, says Claire. So she knows it. Yeah,
it's good. On the front of Donna Tartt's book, The Goldfinch, if anybody's read that.
Okay, yeah. Catherine O'Neill says, great art, Beatrice. And as always, discussion and the process facility by Ireland. Thank you very much, Catherine. Delighted to discover the art as well. This is from Jane in German. Delighted to discover the art as well. Thanks for a lovely start to a Saturday morning. And that's as it should be. Yeah, lovely. Okay, anybody else before we wrap?
One little one, Alan.
Yes.
Beatrice, what was your mother's name? And did she show pictures?
She did, yeah. I think she had some work maybe in the Dawson or something. Her name was Alico Canan.
Thank you.
Do you have any of her work there?
I do, but not here in the studio.
All right, okay. All right, I thought you might have. Okay, anybody else?
I can show you a photo of my mum in art college.
You have it handy, yeah.
Okay, if you want to hold on 1 second.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh,
that's my mum there.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, lovely. I knew you had something in your studio there. I wasn't sure whether it was the photo or the painting. Yeah. Bernadette says, thanks so much, B and Alan. She obviously knows you well. She calls you B. And Alan, great to see you and your work. Thanks for that, Bernadette.
Thank you.
Ed says, thank you, Beatrice and Alan. Wonderful talk and studio tour. Thank you, Ed.
Thanks,
okay.
Ed.
I think we'd wrap it up there. So listen, thank you so much for all the effort you put into this, Beatrice. It was fantastic. And I really enjoyed chatting with you and working with you to get it to this morning. So well done you for that, okay?
You too, Alan. Thanks very much.
Not at all. And I hope you'll all join me next Saturday where we have yet another artist. This time we're heading down to Kilkenny to a woman who shall be nameless until Wednesday when I let the cat out of the bag. So I'm sure some of you might be able to guess, but It's not you. I think
It's not
Bernadette is
Bernadette.
No, it's not Bernadette. This is, and it's not you. Anyway, so that should be a bit of fun. And I hope you'll join me then, 10 o'clock, the usual time, usual place. Thank you all so much from all over the place, from down in Australia, throughout Europe and everywhere else, and Canada, of course. So thank you very much. And I'll see you next week. Okay?
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, Alan.
Thanks a million.